Greetings and welcome there, people of YouTube. The onslaught continues with the second entry into the recent triad of drama. This time, however, it's back to the basics with good old copyright abuse attempted rather poorly by Little Dot Studios on behalf of what seems to be a rather sizable studio, Ho Ho Entertainment. And I'll explain the details in a minute, but before that we have to go back to November of last year. Anyone who follows me on Facebook may remember the issues I was having with YouTube's content algorithm surrounding the music I used for my outro, where it kept being claimed by a content management group called AdRev for Third Party. Now, I had paid a license for that music, but it seems that other people had also done the same and then used their track as the basis for other pieces of music. I say other people, plural, as the song AdRev for Third Party claims change between each different claim. I informed them that I had a paid license and they just told me to bugger off. I showed it to YouTube, they just shrugged and walked away. Thankfully, the people from Storyblocks who I'd paid the licensing fee to had my back and forced AdRev for Third Party to back off and release the videos I'd claimed, but sadly, could not get them to whitelist me, something that would prevent this happening in future. What this means is that every time I upload, I have to fill out the counterclaim form, send the link to Storyblocks, who then threatens AdRev for Third Party, who then begrudgingly removes their claim. I've done this for every video since I made the format shift. I've approached YouTube, showing them the situation, and they still refuse to step in and deal with the issue on their end. This is my daily routine, filling out these counterclaims. Therefore, to speed things up a little, I created a copy and paste response so I didn't have to type it out every time. I just select licensing as my reason for appeal, paste the response in and submit it to YouTube. And yet, none of this is why I have made this video, so what gives? So on February the 16th, I was notified that one of my videos had been selected with a content ID match. By this time, I'd responded to over 20 such matches within the past few months, so I went through the motions, did my thing, and thought nothing of it. That was until the 22nd, where I then got notified that my appeal had been rejected, at which point I realized it wasn't AdRev for Third Party claiming my outro. No, it was LDS Family. Wait, what? LDS Family? You mean like the Mormons? That was genuinely my first reaction. I even told another YouTuber that I was getting ready to take on the frigging Latter-day Saints. See, I get no details of the claimant beyond their company name, and the content being religious in nature made me think that I'd accidentally pissed off the Mormons. Either way, I did the responsible thing in informing both LDS Family and YouTube of the fact that I'd made a clerical error and would be pressing the matter under fair use. So what exactly was the content in question? Well, it was a 1.5-minute segment from a 25-minute episode of the 1996 series Testament, Bible in Animation, which I had used as evidence in my video titled Helping a Young Christian Understand Atheism and Love. The scene depicted was the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah as part of the episode on Abraham, since I had been shown the scene repeatedly in my time inside a supposedly secular school in the UK. I had used the 4Children animation in order to critique both the series specifically as well as any materials which teach young children that abusive violence is an active quality of love, and that indeed the monster portrayed as killing random people who lay dead in the streets reminded that this is a program intended for children, that this being is claimed to exist by the very school I went to. Neither of my parents forced religion upon me. Materials like this, however, were used to violate their trust in the education system as an attempt to pacify me to abusive behaviours. The scene in question had left such an impact that over 15 years down the line, I knew exactly what scene I wanted to critique in order to make my point. My piece was proportional, using only what was reasonably required, transformative, didn't replace the original, and most importantly, was used very clearly for purposes of critique. So I was a little shocked when I filed my second counter, only to then receive the following email stating, and I do quote, "We are claiming Testament Bible on behalf of Ho Ho Entertainment, and they have asked us to reinstate the claim since you are using their content without permission. However, if you could remove the footage from your video, we would release the claim." End quote. So a couple of things happened here. First of all, I cried at the fact that I realised LDS Family was simply Little Dot Studios family, so I wouldn't be taking on the Mormon Church like I thought I would be doing. Second, I just assumed that there had been a mix-up in communication. Maybe my update hadn't made it to the representative from LDS, so I decided to offer them a very clear-cut case to test their resolve. They returned with the following. "Thanks for your response. LDS Family is claiming Testament Bible on behalf of Ho Ho Entertainment, our client who holds the rights to that footage, who has asked us if you could remove the footage from your video. Since you are using the content without permission, YouTube would only give us the option to reinstate the claim on your whole video. That's why we are giving you the option to remove the footage and you can keep your video. You would be only allowed to use footage from Testament Bible if you had licensed the footage from Ho Ho Entertainment. Hope this makes sense and we can solve this issue." Now, the representative here seems to be suggesting that since Ho Ho Entertainment owned the copyright to the episode, that somehow this excluded them from the aforementioned fair use law, repeating this statement over and over again. I asked them rather plainly whether this was Little Dot Studios' perspective on all matters of fair use, and I got this rather slippery response. This is not coming from Little Dot Studios, it's coming from the copyright holder of this footage, which is Ho Ho Entertainment, our client. You should require permission in order for us to release our claims. This is not protected under rights of fair use for purposes of criticism." End quote. Well, first of all, I'm sorry, but you can't have it both ways. I mean, you are legally representing Ho Ho. Talking to you is equal to talking to them in your current capacity. If you don't like that, don't take the job. You can't act as a legal representative and just take the money but not do the work. You've got to do the work for the money. But at least they now acknowledge that fair use exists. Sadly, they don't seem to be giving much in detail as to why the content didn't fall under said protection. Indeed, the only thing that appeared once again in the email was the statement that Ho Ho Entertainment own the rights, which is not being contested. I'm not claiming that I own the rights to that material. So I simply asked them where they believed I had failed to hold to fair use law. They stated, "Thanks for your email. Yes, I am contacting you on behalf of Ho Ho Entertainment, and according to them, you are infringing their copyright. That's why I'm asking you to remove this piece of footage owned by Ho Ho Entertainment, because YouTube would only give us the option to reinstate the claim on your whole video." End quote. Hang on a second, what do you mean according to them? Because this right there makes it sound like you haven't actually watched the video, you've just come blindly waving your arms about, telling me I have to give up my fair use. You haven't even checked to see whether or not they have a case, you just accepted it for the money. Ho Ho Entertainment is not the arbiter who gets to decide whether or not fair use is applicable here. So we're just going in circles. I mean, I asked you for evidence on why my usage was outside of fair use, and all you did is regurgitate the rather irrelevant facts that your client held all rights to the content. I say irrelevant when really that's not exactly true. It's entirely relevant to the fact that fair use is the very law discussing when it is legally appropriate to use copyrighted content without permission from the copyright holder. That is literally the law's purpose, its entire purpose. It's why it exists, and I explained this to you, and you responded with, "Thank you for contacting us. In reply to your email regarding the YouTube claim disputes you made on the video helping a young Christian understand atheism and love, don't you just mean on my video? You're just taking the whole thing right from the start. Little Dot Studios manage this title on behalf of Ho-Ho Entertainment, and they have confirmed they own the worldwide rights to this title. Ho-Ho Entertainment have provided us with a contractual warranty that they own the rights to all the programs we manage on their behalf, and as such we cannot release this claim at this time. If you believe this to be incorrect, then I'd advise you to discuss this with Ho-Ho Entertainment." End quote. Little Dot Studios, I know Ho-Ho owns the rights to Testament, Bible and Animation, but that fact does not act as an answer as to why you believe my usage was not covered under fair use. Now, this is just where I left the conversation, since I clearly wasn't going to get anywhere. Any attempts by me to stick up for my rights was met with the statement that they were here to talk at me, not to me. I mean, the very nerve of them telling me I have to go and talk to the group that they are representing in a legal capacity truly shows just how hollow their feigned benevolence really was. And I say feigned benevolence along with copyright abuse on the grounds of fair comment, in that when talking to a supposed professional working in the field of content management, I expect them to be trained in copyright law, including the laws surrounding fair use. Every time I brought up fair use, it was ignored, or I was just told that fair use didn't apply to copyrighted materials, even though that's the sole purpose of fair use laws. Ultimately, the actions by Little Dot Studios are just predatory. Little Dot Studios seems to be banking on this idea that I'm just some small-time schmuck who doesn't know their rights when it comes to fair use, pretending like me handing over said rights is in my best interest, hoping that I'll be afraid of all the show they're making. And what's sad is it genuinely may work at times. Copyright can be scary if you're new to it, and so this predatory tactic may actually work in some cases, which is why I am making this video. I want to expose what is being done to help protect others, if at all possible. Little Dot Studios is either being deliberately dishonest, or their staff is improperly trained to handle negotiations, and I don't find it unfair of me to assume that an established company should actually give their employees proper training, hence I'm sticking to the former on this one. And not satisfied with that dishonesty, they made other attempts as well. For a start, let us return to the claim that I should remove the segment because now they can only claim the entire video. I find this funny because before, they were claiming my entire video. The content match, which was most likely automated, yet they manually upheld, regardless of how little of my video they actually claimed, meant that all ad revenue for my 33-minute video would now be theirs on the basis that I used a 1.5 minute of their content for purposes of criticism. They had already claimed my entire video, so I don't get the meaning behind this. Sure, they could file a DMCA, but that would very likely backfire. Another thing is the pressure on me to do something, else they'll continue to have some imagined power over my video. I say imagined as that's exactly what it is, fictional. They have 3 courses of action at the current: retract the claim, file a DMCA, or simply sit around and do nothing, at which point on the 24th of March, YouTube will automatically drop the claim. That's right, I just have to sit here and any money made during the dispute will be returned to me after I've been found to be correct in this instance. This is made very plain by YouTube, so I don't know what they expected to achieve in all of this dishonesty. Anyway, in wrapping up, this is not by any means the most drastic copyright abuse I've seen, having dealt with fraudulent strikes. Yet this is perhaps the most devious I have seen. This wasn't simply relying on YouTube's automated system to get their own way. They were very clearly trying to fish to find any ignorance I may have on the topic, in hopes that they could then induce fear via said ignorance, Sadly for them, they got the wrong target, where I'm not just going to fight them from my own corner, but actually use my powers as a social critic to shed light on what appears to be a predatory practice, and if not, is very clearly the fault of the content management group Little Dot Studios for not properly training their staff on the law. So with that noted, take care. Hi there, I'd just like to say a few things here at the end of the video before you go. First, I'd like to thank everyone who has ever donated to the channel via Patreon, giving a special thanks to the following people: Hannah Banghart, Trevor Matheson, Matthew Kovac, John Schoenrock, Gonzalo Williams, and of course Daniel Martinez. Your support has ensured this channel its ability to grow over the years. I'd also like to ask that you comment down below and like this video, as well as subscribe and follow Essence of Thought on Facebook and YouTube. Please also consider following Atheist Alliance International on Facebook, an organisation dedicated to helping atheists around the globe. Lastly, I'd like to request that you treat the people responded to in this video with a reasonable degree of respect. Whilst we understand that there are justifiable limits to said respect when tackling certain heavy topics, and anger can be a very genuine emotion in fighting injustice, any comments utilising language which insults others on the basis of perceived gender, sexuality, ethnicity or ability, both mental and physical, will be removed immediately, and the commenters may be blocked on the moderator's discretion. Let's keep this space one which upholds the humanist values. Thank you.